Hey guys, Bolton4 back here again, and sorry the fan on my computer's gone, so if you can hear that. The new episode of Doctor Who was just on called Kill the Moon, and hey, here's my favourite word again. It was okay. Yeah, I know I've said that about a lot of episodes of the series so far, but really, it was just, I don't know, like, just okay. I mean, it was definitely a step up from last week's episode, in my opinion, and it's one of the better episodes of the season, but I don't know, it just didn't really do it for me. It was just, again, it was just okay. Um, oh, I remember, spoilers ahoy, so yeah, it's gonna be, what's the spoilers? So the basic plot is that um, the Doctor, Clara, and, is it Courtney, who I forgot to mention last time, but she's now in the TARDIS for this little adventure. They land on the moon. Well, they land on a shuttle that crashes on the moon, and there's also another crew there. And they're going around, and of course, they find strange things. There's all these corpses, wrapped in webs and all that. And it turns out there's all these spider creatures there, and it actually turns out they're germs, like all the germs all over. So it actually turns out that the moon itself is actually an egg, and inside is this creature that's going to break out, and that's why the moon is acting very strange, and they've got a bit of a dilemma that they um, either they kill the moon, just like the title, or they let the creature, live and they let it hatch and all that. So, yeah, and, you know, halfway through, there's this scene where the Doctor's like, it's not my choice, it's your moon, so he leaves, and you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? And yeah, it is pretty obvious. He comes back. I was expecting, yeah, he's going to come back. I mean, it's no surprise, he does. But it was handled quite well, when he was saying, oh, it's just your problem with that. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, the whole thing with the moon being an egg and there being a creature inside, that was an interesting concept. I haven't seen that done before, so that's quite interesting. And another thing I found was that the what do you call it? The actual the whole thing about the spiders on there being germs was actually quite interesting as well. It wasn't handled perfectly, but it was done quite well. So yeah, that was pretty decent. The spiders themselves were just they didn't do much. They advertised them all the time, like in the trailers and the pictures and all that, because of course like oh these are like scary monsters, and they really didn't do much. They were just there. They killed like one guy, I think like one or two guys, and the rest were just off screen, so they didn't do a whole lot. And the design was kind of, nothing really amazing. They were just black with glowy red bits. So I mean, you've seen that kind of before. It's not very original, and they don't really play a big part in the story. So the actual creature itself at the end when it hatches from the moon, its design is fairly interesting. You don't really see much of it, but it looks kind of just kind of generic flying monster thing. But it's all right. Yeah, flying creature, I should say, because it's not really a monster. It doesn't really do bad things. Well, it doesn't. So whatever. As for the characters, Peter Capaldi is once again pretty good as the Doctor. He's doing quite good as this series is progressing, and he was quite good here. He did very well at the serious drama moments, and some of the little funnier, more subtle humour moments he was good at as well. Jenna Coleman is again pretty good as Clara. No, she did well at the drama scenes as well, where she had to, with the Doctor, the dilemma they face and all that, which is quite interesting. And again, yeah, she did quite well. Although I thought at the end her little, her rant at the Doctor in the TARDIS, I don't, this is ridiculous. Oh, the whole thing. Oh, how you could just leave and we have to do it. And I felt that was a little forced, to be quite honest. But you know, Courtney Woods. She was introduced last time, and she was in this. The character is fine enough, I guess. I don't want to be mean. The actress, I don't know her name. She was just kind of average. I mean, yeah, child actors aren't all that great. She wasn't a terrible child actress. She was just kind of, just kind of alright, I guess. She wasn't bad, but she was just didn't really leave much of an impression. The actual, the other astronaut crew, they were very forgettable. They didn't do really much. The only one they really focused on was Love Dick. Uh, is it Love Dick? I really don't know. Sorry if I said that wrong. I'm so sorry. I really don't know her name. I really don't know, but I know it sounds so wrong. It does, but I really don't know. I looked it up, and maybe that is, but I don't know the name, so yeah. I will put an annotation right here of what the actual name of that astronaut is, because I know I probably got it completely wrong. But anyway, yeah. Uh, she was the only one that was kind of interesting, but again, she really didn't have that much character. She just kind of said things that made you think she did have character, but really she didn't. Not really. I mean, there was this one scene where she's talking about her husband or something. I can't remember because it was that forgettable, and it just passes by. Really, it wasn't anything to talk about. It was just there, like, oh, I remember this, and then that's it. It was kind of like the scene from Twin Dilemma where the doctor's like, dig. And basically, yeah, if you've ever seen that story, it's basically like that. It just comes out of nowhere and was just very. Um, the rest of the crew, you don't really get attached to at all. They do nothing. They're just there and they die. And you don't feel for them at all when they die. You're not like, oh no, not that guy. He was so cool. You're just like, oh no, the spider's killing a guy. Big deal. That guy didn't get any character, so why should I care? And that's the problem. That was the problem I found with Into the Dalek as well. You don't really care about the crew in that episode, so when most of them get killed by the Dalek, you don't care. And that's the same thing here. You don't care when the spider germ things kill any other people. And when most of them off screen, it doesn't help, so, you know. And, behind the scenes, apparently they wanted this to be a very Philip Hinchcliffe-esque story. If you don't know, Philip Hinchcliffe is the producer for Tom Baker's earlier run, a few seasons as the Doctor. Honestly, it didn't really feel like a Hinchcliffe story to me because his stories would be, one, much more entertaining, and two, have a much better written story. Like, as in more cohesive and more, something that invests you, something that's simple but it works. And it invests you in the story. And I didn't really get that from this, so I don't know. I also felt they kind of wussed out, the part when Courtney, she's like, in the room of this anti-grav and it looks like the spider's going to get her, but of course she sprays it. One, how is she supposed to know that that was going to do anything? And two, that's really just them. It really just shows that they didn't have the balls to kill off a kid. Oh, we can't kill off a kid. We'll get controversy. Oh, I just felt that was kind of stupid. Oh, and another note: the CG in this episode looked really bad for some reason. Now, the CG in this season has been pretty solid so far, but there was one shot where they're all scattering all of the moonlights crumbling, and it looked really poor, like something out of Series 1. And I don't want to criticize because that was 2005, but that was 2005. This is 2014, and that should look better, but whatever. Anyway, so those are my basic overall thoughts on this episode. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say about this. Not really, other than, the whole dilemma thing was just, just okay. So, yeah, next episode is going to be Mummy on the Orient Express. And that one looks decent. The mummy's design from the trailer looks pretty cool. I would have liked if they kept it more in the shadows, to be quite honest. But other than that, it looks alright. So, yeah, those were my overall thoughts on the new episode, Kill the Moon. So, I will see you next time.